they call YouTube.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Sophie. This is Flow Fashion Rebel. My name is Emily. I live in Brooklyn, New York, and this is my lovely friend,
Sophie, and I live in Cheltenham in the UK.
This is a channel about knitting. We do lots of other crafts, but mostly we talk about knitting. And we're just discussing that I have been doing a lot of cross-stitch and cross-stitching content in these videos, but we decided together that I will separate that into separate videos. So I'm like
Emily
really
is a hardcore flosser, everyone.
Yeah.
If you don't know.
I'm obsessed. But I also am obsessed with knitting and like sewing and all the stuff. So I'm just
guru, basically.
Just as much as a knitter. Thank you. Oh my goodness. That's such a like nice thing to say. So anyway, more info on that later. But Sophie and I met last year when she lived in New York briefly, and we fell in love and now have been having a long distance love affair. Not really, but anyway, this helps us keep in touch, and we love to chat with you lovely viewers. And that's it. So
without further ado,
what have you been up to lately?
Well, so I feel like I should preface by saying over the past few months, I think everyone will have known I've been fairly unproductive. Like I was looking at I'm not being hard on myself. I'm just holding my hands up and saying, let's be honest, I wasn't the most productive. And I was looking at my Ravelry library which pretty much is just last year, because Emily was the one who convinced me, / Calvin, because
it was Calvin.
I think we've had this discussion before. Yeah. And Calvin was like, where's my credit?
I seconded his suggestion, but it was definitely Calvin.
Yeah. So yeah, I didn't use Ravelry before about a year ago, which shocking, because now it is amazing and I wonder what I was ever doing. And I was looking at my library, having my projects, thinking, wow, I was so productive in 2020, so now in 2021. Mm-hmm. Come on, Sophie, pull your knickers up or pull your socks up. Knickers is not the phrase. So it's always good to have those, standing around.
Yeah, you don't want saggy knickers.
Exactly. Nothing worse. Nothing worse.
It's the worst.
So, I've got a whole host to show you today. I finished my test knit for Making Stories magazine issue 6. So this is the Barina, I'm pretty sure it might be Barinda, it might have a D in it, sweater. Oh my God, I'm so happy I finished it. And the cables go up the sleeves.
I love it.
This took less than 300 grams of wool.
Wow.
I know it's a fingering weight, but I thought that was pretty impressive because it's not a tight fit. It is boxy. It's got about, I think it's intended to have at least 6 inches of ease around the busticle. Yeah, and I actually really enjoyed knitting it. Like once I got into the sleeves, they didn't feel like a pain in the nether regions.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They went really quickly.
In the knickers?
In the bum.
In the
But yes, in the drawers.
Right.
The one thing I would say is there was when you get issue 6, because obviously you're all going to want it after this amazing show of knickers and bottoms. I would, and if I were to knit this again, which I definitely would, because I really enjoyed knitting it, but got to make everything else in the whole world first. I would knit the sleeves in maybe like half a needle or a needle size up, because I've reached the right circumference with blocking, but it was quite aggressive blocking. The pattern was rewritten halfway through testing because a lot of the testers said the sleeves were too tight, so it paid off that I wasn't that quick with my test knit. But even with the rewrite, I tried it on pre-blocking and they were like very tight around the top of my arms. And I don't consider myself to have ginormous arms. I made a size 3 if anyone's interested. The deets are on my Ravelry page. But yeah, just having looked at the cables, I can see that my tension is tighter for the sleeves, which is probably where the issues come from. But I think people naturally probably knit more tightly if knitting like magic loop, or I don't know, Emily, you might be able to.
Well, how did you knit the body? Was that in the round, and then the sleeves were in the round?
Yeah, I think because the sleeves are magic loop, I just feel like my cables, and it's only like a tiny amount. It just looks slightly tighter. Like unless you were really examining it, I feel like you'd be like, "What are you talking about?" But like, say, body versus sleeve. I mean, you can probably see it there.
A little bit, yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, I've never thought of that before, but I could see that easily. That magic loop would be.
Yeah.
A little.
And I might take that into future. I mean, I've never had that issue before in jumpers. I think because these are quite a tight fit, probably because the style is for them to be a dropped shoulder. So it does work with the overall design of the jumper. I wouldn't want baggy sleeve because I feel like that would make the whole thing look like a sack of potatoes. It's like you do need the tightness of the sleeve, but if I were knitting it again, I probably got just to give myself a bit of extra ease without the need for such intensive blocking.
Yeah, I think that's another reason I like using 12-inch circulars on the sleeve, to be honest. The tension issue, because it doesn't, like magic loop is tighter, and a 12-inch circular is like the same tension as your body, as the knit in the for the body.
Yeah. This is another reason I need to invest.
I know. Speaking of which, last time we chatted, like I told Sophie that I was asking for, we both love Chowgoos, the needles, the best, the Chowgoo metal ones. They have bamboo ones too, but I can't deal with bamboo. And Sophie has the like interchangeable set, the regular interchangeable set, and I think I sold it to you too.
You did.
These are the best. These are amazing.
Those things are enabled by Emily.
I don't have them. I have the Hayas, which are fine, but I just prefer the metal of the Chowgoo. Like there's something about it. It's like they're slick, but not too slick, you know, and just like the way that they
like point on
they're so good.
They're slippy without anything sliding off.
Right. So I was telling Sophie that I was gonna ask for, they have 3 different kinds, well, they have more than 3 different kinds of interchangeable sets, because they have like the small sizes and the large sizes and the 4-inch and the 5-inch, which is all very confusing. But then they also have like 2 different sets of the teeny sizes. So it's like the mini twist, I think is what it's called, is like the 9-inch circular in like size 0 to, you know, 2 or 3, that's for sock knitting. And I've been wanting to do colorwork socks because I love fun socks. Like, I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm like obsessed with fun socks. Like, if my socks are not fun, it's not a good thing. Just, I mean, you know, that's an exaggeration, but I do love fun socks. So yeah, I definitely want those. And because it's better, I think, than magic loop with colorwork knitting, because, you know, because magic loop is like a folded tube, if you're carrying something, I don't know if you've ever had this experience, but if you're carrying something in the back right over that area where it's folded, like sometimes the tension will be a little bit weird and it'll create like a bubble in that area when you're finished. But like working on a tiny circular needle prevents that from happening. So I wanted that. And
necessary in our lives.
exactly. And then like also there's the like second step up to the full size interchangeable set, which is like for 12-inch, and which is basically for sleeves. And I'm so obsessed with with knitting my sleeves on 12-inch circulars. It's so much faster, I think. And I've decided this, I can't like buy any more single needles because I need to save up for the sets. And I asked for them for my birthday and nobody got them for me. So
I was gonna ask on this podcast, like,
did
it happen?
No, I don't know what it is, but nobody in my life gets me craft stuff for my birthday.
I have a word for them. It begins with a B. You can find the rest.
It's okay. I got plenty of really awesome stuff. I don't need to complain, but especially since Tim is sitting in the next room and he did all of this like stuff for me and like made me a really fancy cake and like dinner and so it was lovely. But
Tim's pretty good. We liked him.
He's great. Yeah.
Love you, Tim.
Yeah. So anyway, what were we talking about before that? I went on this tangent.
Basically, how I've gone off Magic Loop because clearly it throws off. And also, can I just say, Magic Loop, where the beginning of the round is a cable, is also really hard.
Ooh, that sounds like a yard.
So, yeah. As I was knitting these, I was wishing to myself, I was like, if I had a shorter needle, a shorter cable, shorter needle, shorter everything, basically, this would be going so much quicker. But overall, love the pattern. The issue will be out. Well, they've just released issue 5, so issue 6 will be out in a few months. And you should get issue 5 because if you remember, I knitted the cardigan from issue 5.
I love the shape on you. That photo you posted it's so cute.
It is, for all the pairs out there, like moi, and it is the perfect like cropped fit. I think it's gonna look really good over summer dresses and stuff, or just like over a t-shirt and some jeans. Just like a good throw on because it's mohair and merino.
Nice.
Well, the original pattern. But then I was like, oh my God, I finished a jumper. What else can I finish?
Oh yeah.
So I finished a shawl. I finished my Time Trades shawl by Caitlin Hunter. I don't have that to show you, but you can check it out on my Instagram because I gave that to my mum we've just had Mother's Day in the UK. Because UK Mother's Day is slightly different date. So that was not last weekend, but the weekend before. Like the 14th of, I want to say the 14th of March, something like that is Mother's Day in the UK. So I gave that to my mum yesterday because I happened to see her. So she was very pleased with that. Most satisfying thing to block, those like little zigzaggy chevron edges. Loved that. Had the moment during blocking because I was blocking the jumper and the shawl at the same time. I was like, oh, I probably need more blocking mats because I've totally run out. I had to use a bath mat to help block the shawl and then remembered this will never happen again. So no, you don't need more blocking mats, Sophie. So I pulled out another whip. I started this when we moved to America. This was the first thing I cast on. It's probably not showing up. It's basically neon pink mohair from Pearl Soho. I would call this like one of their signature colors. Would you?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, they have all kinds of neutrals and like soft colors and then this hot pink.
Yeah, it's just totally blowing out on the camera. This is also their pattern. It's free on their website. The checkerboard lace scarf in the tussock, and it's a blend of mohair and silk.
It's beautiful.
So I'm wondering, okay, so it's this long, she says. I'm wondering whether I get to the end of this skein and then call it a day, and I have a skein left over, or do I knit all 3?
How much?
No, I probably should knit all 3,
Yeah.
shouldn't
Yeah.
I? Okay. Well,
or at least half of the next one. Or at least half of the next one.
Yes.
You just need a little
That
bit.
was also painful wooden needles, but I can't bother to change them.
Well,
But
and if it's so slippery, I mean, the mohair, like that's a situation where I would use wooden needles because
this is my daytime knit because it's not a complicated lace pattern, but anything past 5:30 and all counties off. Like how many slip knits have happened? Who knows?
Yeah.
Especially if you throw a little prosecco in there or something.
Yeah.
So then finally I have been English paper piecing because you all know I'm addicted. You can probably see a little corner of crafty things. And a chocolate cake I made the other day and I've eaten half of.
For my birthday. In celebration of my birthday.
For you, Emily. So I rearranged. So I'm nearly there. I've got 2 large blocks to make and I think approximately 12 small blocks.
Wow.
So I thought I'd arrange them into the rainbow because
pretty.
I thought I don't have a design wall. How am I going to decide the layout? I basically there used to be a show on TV in the UK, like when I was a kid, called Art Attack. Well, that was smart as well. Anyway, it was like one of those sort of projects, like get some paper out. I happen to have this long roll of, what do you call,
like butcher paper or something?
Yeah, that kind of thing. And I sellotaped it all together. I drew hexagons on it. It was life-sized. And so I've made my own floor design board. So I was trying to think, I was going to call it a floorboard, but I realized that's already a thing. So yeah, I've arranged all my pieces.
Oh, that little turtle, so cute. Oh my God, and is the purple one giraffes?
These are little
leopards. Oh, so cute.
Again, the colors are all blowing out because it goes from basically like a strawberry red, because I'm not a huge fan of a true red, and it all the way through to like pink, to the acid greens, to the blues. It's quite a lot of Tula pink is involved, and then we end up in purples, and then it all happens all over again in the big format.
It's so it's so impressive and cool how you do the placement, the pattern placement.
Oh my God, I've got so into fussy cutting. It's not even, these are my favorite, like the bananas were a favorite.
I love that.
I really liked this block as well. So you'll see this block way more than the initial pattern is supposed to be. I'm trying to find.
How do you do fussy cutting?
Well, I have a very inexpensive light, I won't call it a light box. It's essentially a light board. It's A4 size. It plugs in via, like a little Kindle. If you can't use it without it being plugged in, but that's fine if you're near like a laptop or something, or a USB plug. And then you lay the fabric over so it's right side to the light box, so you can basically see the pattern shining through.
And then you mark on the back.
Yeah, and then I get my little paper piece and I decide, where do I want this? If it's something that I'm repeating, for example, like these, I'll mark key points on the design of like, okay, I know this bit needs to line up, and then I can cut out a few of them. It is a waste of fabric. Like, yes, it is a waste of fabric, but I also bought the majority of this fabric with the intention to fussy cut it.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I've only bought fat quarters of most fabrics. So I think I've still got quite a lot out of each.
Absolutely. And the effect is so good.
Let me show you one of my favorite. While you're here, Emily, and can't
Yes,
go anywhere.
please.
There's this one with like little scissors, which I feel like you'd appreciate.
Oh, I love that.
Little scissors. There's more bananas.
Cute.
We really liked the bananas. I used the royal we there. But even if you have like diamonds or whatever else, but it's quite good fun. I mean, it is more time intensive, but it is kind of therapeutic within like birds. And I think it's more interest. Like some people will argue that in the overall quilt, will people really see these details? But I think I'm intending to have this on the sofa. It's going to be a lap quilt. It's not a very big quilt. It is basically like a throw size. You can make it bigger, obviously, if you wanted to. I'm ready to move on to the next project now. But another EPP projects. I've enjoyed this one so much. I think it will be a regular craft of mine. So yeah, I think if you're sat there on the sofa, like you will notice like small detail, and also it's there. So who does it matter if no one else sees it if you have enjoyed it? And
I think people will see it for sure.
About it.
I mean, if I were there, I would be obsessed with looking at. Like, I would like notice, even if I didn't already know that was the situation, I would like notice one, and then I would like sit there trying to look for all of the other lineup
stuff. I'm trying to see if there's like any other blocks. So I think I've shown you like my favorite ones. I think I might make more than I need and then just use my favorites, because some I'm not 100% about in the small blocks. So they didn't take me that long to make, so I'll just, and I can save them. Like, just because you've made a block doesn't mean you have to use it. You can use it for something else.
True.
So yeah, I basically ordered some more fabric that arrived today from So Hot, because I thought, well, you may notice I've got a little gap sort of like between the orange and the pink. I get it, so it's not blowing out. But I was like, I need some peach in my life. I need like a peachy orange. So they arrived today, but I've run out of glue, so I've had to order some more glue.
So you glue the. Tell me how you do it. You glue the. Oh.
So
little scissors.
I thought you'd like these because they're like little peach.
Yes, I love scissors.
Yeah, I mean, if it's not enough, so I've got my air dissolvable fabric pen. So if you wonder how I mark on the back of the fabric, I use this. It lasts for a couple of hours and it basically disappears. And it does disappear because I've gone back to glue stuff the next day and then gone,
where's your mark?
Where have I fussy cut this?
Yeah.
Or from, or whatever. So yeah, each paper template gets glued. You can thread based stuff, but gluing is apparently the new way. Yeah, and I'm all about, me, Emily, less effort, more speed.
Well, if you're doing all that stuff by hand, I mean,
yeah.
So you glued on.
Is my least favorite part of it. I like the cutting out. I like the sewing together. The gluing gets boring, but just stick on some TV.
Yeah.
You can reuse your pieces. I've already used these a few times. I think you use up each piece. They say up to like 5 times before they start to get a bit grotty. So though these are the pre-cut, I bought a pre-cut pack. You can cut them yourself. As we've established, I'm pretty lazy. I'm not going to do that. So I think it was about £50 or something to buy the paper pieces, but you can, in theory, make that quilt like 5 times from that pack, which makes it quite inexpensive. Or a lot of the quilts use the same size pieces, so you could just mix and match for future projects. So yeah, you basically glue each piece together and then you hand stitch them together. So I'm in the middle of making this block at the minute.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep going
I
around.
love that. That's so pretty.
And then you have to take the paper pieces out when you've sewn the two edges together. Say for example in this, I've taken out the diamonds because there's no like these are still have paper because I've still got to sew another edge to it, if that makes sense.
So how it doesn't get like gluey? I mean, the paper doesn't rip or anything? Is it special glue or is it just like a...
Yes, I've been using the Soline fabric. It's like the bright blue. It's just called, I think they call it their fabric glue pen. This one's empty. I've just finished it today.
So it's like less sticky than normal glue, or?
It's supposed to be like fabric. I mean, I haven't really noticed, unless I've put like a super, you can do one swipe and it'll stick because you don't need it to be really strong. You just need it to stick until you've
temporarily
finished it. So I haven't, I mean, you can see a bit, but it's not, you can probably see like a tiny bit there. But it's not like super thick or clumpy. Though I will say these are quite expensive and I've used approximate, so it's £8.99 for 6 refills. And I've probably in the whole quilt so far used say like 12 of those. I mean, is that expensive? I don't know. But I was thinking, I was like, seems to be getting a little bit pricey for what I want to pay. Like, do I want to pay £8.99 for 6 things when a whole refill will probably only get me through, say, 2 small blocks of basting? So I've ordered some mini Pritt sticks. They're Scotch Pritt sticks that say they're fabric soluble. I know that crafters do also use them as well. They're like just the little mini tiny ones. I'm going to do a compare and contrast. I'll let you know.
All right.
Exciting stuff, literally. Watching the glue dry and see if they're any better. Because really, like I do agree that sometimes it's best to invest in the right technical products. But if I can find that mini Pritt sticks work just as well for way less money, why wouldn't I?
Right. I mean, you have to, sometimes it's the same thing with a different label. So like, and they've marketed it for crafting special to like make you feel like you need to get that thing when maybe you don't. I mean, it's like a lot of times, yes, there is the right tool for the job and it's worth paying for, but in cases where you find out it's not, then there's no reason to.
Unless anyone knows of a great website where you can buy a job lot of fabric glue refills for a very good price.
Right.
The one thing I will say about that is it is the perfect size. Just do like a one thin swipe because it's probably like half a centimeter, less than half centimeter wide. So that's the only thing I foresee being an issue with the mini glue sticks.
So I have one more question.
Yeah.
When you sew it by hand, you do a whip stitch, right? And so you don't go through the paper?
No, I catch, like, it's literally like the two, so it's,
so you go,
see, yeah, it's like this the very edge, it's like just a couple of threads, and you think, oh, this isn't going to hold it at all, and it may still not hold it. We haven't found that in the final quilt. We go, I guess, reasonably close together. I watched, when I mention her name again, I need to start having like a swear jar equivalent for Tula Pink.
Okay.
I'm just gonna let Lucas outside. Watched her video for Fat Quarter Shop on YouTube. She has 3 videos all about English paper piecing. They are reasonably long, so I did skip through a few bits because it's me, but I basically just follow her technique of going straight through the fabric, so not going on an angle, so you get the minimal amount of thread. Sorry, Lucas is barking at a cat. and jumping all over my flowers.
Oh no.
That's what I put up with all the time. Yeah, so she says, if you go straight out the back, you get a minimal amount of thread showing up at the front to do with how your thread is crossing over. Shh. Come here. Come here. Sorry, everyone.
It's all right.
And yeah, you just have to go, shh, I would say maybe like a couple of millimeters, maybe like 2 to 3 mil away from each stitch. So they're reasonably small. There are people can get very technical about how many stitches you should do per like inch, etc. I just go by eye and what I think
right. Yeah.
neat and tidy.
And do you in the evening, like when you're watching TV, or is that knitting?
Yeah, also lighting. I think I need to invest in one of those neck lamps that you were showing on your birthday. The other day I was like, it would be really useful if I had one of those lamps that Emily had, because you do need reasonably good lighting so you can see, so you're not catching too much. So obviously the more you catch, then the more you'll potentially show up at the front. You can, I again have only bought one color of thread to sew the whole quilt in. People generally match their thread color to the fabric. I haven't really found that to be a problem. I've just used a pale grey. It's the I think it's called Platinum, the color I've been using. It's an Aurifil thread, the ones that all quilters go mad for. And to be honest, I don't think you can necessarily see it. They're all blues, but even on the pink, I picked it because I think as a color, it blends with mostly everything. So, I think people can go as far into it as they want. Yeah. I wouldn't have sewn it all with the dark blue. And I'll probably get it quilted in that color as well, so it'll match eventually together. Just drop my laptop charger. Yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I would recommend it to everyone. It seems kind of involved. You don't have to fussy cut. You can just cut out fabric random. It's great for using up fabric scraps if you're a part-time craft. I wouldn't call myself a sewist. I occasionally make like makeup pouches and stuff for myself, and buy fabric that I like the look of, even though I don't really sew. It's great to use up stashes like that. It's a great opportunity to buy more fabric if, like me, you just like buying stuff.
I have tons of quilting fabric scraps, so I'm definitely interested.
Yeah, it's so meditative. Like, it seems, before I started it, I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna like this. I kind of started it on a whim because I watched TP video on a quilt shade. I was like, oh, that's really cool. Like, seems kind of quirky. And generally, I find sewing on a sewing machine quite boring. Like I've said this before, like I want the end product, but I don't necessarily enjoy the process. With this, I've loved the whole process from start to finish. Like, I can just sit here for hours and literally just sew bits of stuff together, and it's just so relaxing. And I never thought I would say that. And I never thought that I would get to the end of this and be like, oh my God, I want to do another project. I think says a lot. I think you would really enjoy this as well.
I think so too. But I'm also nervous that it will make me abandon all of my other, because this is what happens to me, is that this is why I'm a multi-crafter. Like, I started when I was 7 years old with sewing, and then I got interested in knitting, and then my life became entirely about knitting. And then now I'm doing cross stitch, and it's just, I want all the projects in all of the different types of craft. And what used to be the case, if you've been watching my channel for a really long time, I have a video called Too Many Whips ? Where I talk about my whip management strategy. And it's a very nerdy video, but I quite like it, and I think a lot of you did too. But I talked about how I'm comfortable with 6 or 7 whips on the go, because it's like I rotate and I sort of have this like phase where I cast on a lot of things, and then I have a phase where I finish a lot of things. And it's like, I used to work in a Broadway costume shop, and that was kind of how we worked there. So it was like, I'm comfortable managing a lot of different projects at once. And it's like, it takes strategy, but like, and effort, but I don't feel guilty about it, which I think is a difference between, I mean, which is an advantage that I have from working in a professional creative environment, is like the lack of guilt is very, something I'm very grateful for, because a lot of people don't, you know, have that feeling. That being said, that works if you have one type of craft. Like, because I am comfortable with 6 or 7 whips at a time, it has meant unconsciously that I have 6 or 7 whips of each type of craft. So I have like 6 or 7 sewing projects, 6 or 7 knitting projects, and 6 or 7 cross stitching projects. So that's why I'm like a little bit scared of adding English paper piecing, because I just like, you know, but I want to do it. I love crafts of all types. And yeah, that's, now I'm having a like whip management problem because of all the different types.
I think it'd be good for like a different time of day. Like, I guess for me at the moment, like the bright pink scarf is like, if I want to do some daytime knitting, like that's what I would reach for. This is kind of like a good, like some days I'll just do English paper piecing, then other days I might pick it up like later in the day, like more into the evening time, and like it's quite good for watching TV because I guess it doesn't require much thinking about, or I might do loads of cutting for it in the day when I'm really focused, and then do the gluing at another point or something. But again, I don't have quite as many crafts on the go. But I'm saying, Emily, you'd love it. It's like,
I think so too. Yeah.
Enjoy, it's soothing, and also it's supposed to be long term. Like my mother-in-law keeps saying to me, so I keep going, oh, I've got more things to make. She's like, English paper piecing, it's a long-term commitment. Like you don't need to rush to get it finished.
Right, because I don't have any projects like that already.
Yeah, no, there's no blankets going on.
Which I brought here to talk about. Perhaps we should
segue into you.
Use that as a transition. So, I don't know why, but I can't like adjust the order of things that I was going to talk about in. So this is the first thing I was going to talk about, which is my finished The Other Raglan by Courtney Little, aka Ivy and Autumn. I do not have a Ravelry page for it. I'm sorry, I'm very much not as organized as Sophie is in terms of that, and not as good at Instagram. It's because I have too many craft projects. So this is in, the yarn is called Vixen by Little Fox, and it's got some silk content. So I figured because it was a turtleneck, like, and it would be next to my skin, I wanted something a little extra soft. So I'm really pleased with that choice. And the color is called Mandolin Orange. I'll stand up, forgive the sweatpants, but it's like a little bit cropped, which I like.
Nice.
And
yeah, the fabric too.
Thank you. It's been a long time since I've worn a turtleneck, and so I was a little bit nervous about the choice, but I'm happy with it. It's not like a tight one, you know?
I call it more like a funnel neck.
Right. Yeah. Or like a mock neck. Yeah. I don't know what the difference between those are, but yes, agreed.
So anyway, I feel like people in different countries call the same thing different things.
I'm sure. Yes, absolutely.
I love it.
Thank you. I love it too. Just in time for the weather to get warm, but you know, that's okay. If you're a knitter, you're committed to full-time year-round knitting. Speaking of the time of year, and speaking of my blanket epic project, so it is the time of year where we have changed from the heavy comforter to the lighter comforter, and I've gotten more motivation to like get this thing done because we use this specifically at this time of year on our bed. And it looks really good with my everything in my room. So I'm really happy with it. This thing is giant.
Finished officially.
What'd you say?
Is it officially?
No, it's not. It's just like, this is just something I wanted to show because I haven't shown it in a while and it's like something I've been working on and I felt like I didn't have all that much to show. So this is going to be for a queen size bed. It's enormous.
It's grown so much since the last time I saw it.
It's grown so much. I mean, this and a couple of enormous cross stitch projects, long-term cross stitch projects are what I've been doing in the pandemic. So
I love your color combos.
Thank you. It's all fingering weight.
Workout.
It's insane, but it's coming. It's coming.
And there's a little bit of me in there, isn't there, Emily?
Totally. Yes, absolutely. Sophie and I did a mini skein exchange this Christmas. This one, oh, excuse me. This one is from Sophie and it fits perfectly with the color scheme. So yeah, that's my Cozy Memories blanket by Kemper of Junk Yarn. I was thinking like if I have leftover yarn, I will just like send all of it to you and or these needles because I know that you like have expressed that you want to do one of these, and these needles are Signature, which I don't know, have you ever heard of Signature needles? The grocery girls talk about them. A couple of years ago they talked about them a lot. They're like really expensive, like made in the US, like with like aircraft quality metal or something like that, and the points are insanely sharp.
Pretty lethal. I was just thinking that we'd have those on an airplane, that's for sure.
Right. They're made of airplanes, not for traveling on them. But like I love these needles for this project specifically, and I will never use this needle for anything else. It's not practical for anything else. But like if you're gonna make a commitment to have a super long-term project like this, like I asked for these as a gift. I didn't buy them myself, but they are a really nice thing. So they're the Signature size 2, and it's like a teeny straight needle. But yeah, I was thinking I just like when I'm done send you these needles and
off the baton on
all of my little mini leftovers in these colors. These colors are very you also, I feel. So
yeah, I do love them, like the aubergines and the green.
It's like I'm sending you a plant. I'm propagating a plant, like, and sending that to you. It's like propagating this blanket and sending it to you in the mail.
A cozy memory everywhere.
Yeah. So the other project I have to show, well, it's not that, nothing has, so it's this same thing, which I showed last time. It's the, sorry, my phone is dinging.
I feel like our phones are buzzing at exactly the same time.
Yep, I wonder why, because our knitting group is chatting. This is called the Velvety Cardigan by Gregoria Fibers. The yarn I'm using is tuku wool and Yoth yarn and an MCN.
What are your thoughts on tutu? Only because I was looking at, obviously, because I was looking at new patterns to knit, because I don't have 2 jumpers in my whip cupboard. And it was in, the original was in tuku wool. So I was just thinking, your opinions on that wool / alternatives that I may have in my stash.
I like it a lot. It's a little bit scratchy, I've heard, but I've never used it. This is my first time using it, and I'm mixing it with an MCN, which is really soft. So I can't say I can't share like my opinion on wearing a sweater in it I like working with it. I think the color and the texture are both beautiful. They've got some really, really lovely saturated, beautiful colors. So I've been wanting to work with it for a long time, and it's really inexpensive for the quality, because this was 11, each of these is 50 grams and it's $11 US, and it's imported from Finland. So like, I don't know, it might even be cheaper for you because
Yeah,
it
that's
doesn't
true.
have to travel so far, you know.
They're getting stuff from Europe at the moment. This is Brexit side note, is a nightmare.
Oh,
Loads of places stopped shipping to the UK.
just
I
out
don't
of
mind, I was
protest.
so pathetic when I said that, to the UK.
Well,
Yeah, I haven't.
yeah, that sucks. I get it. It's frustrating.
Yeah, I imagine you probably know how that feels.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I know, not specifically, but I know how it feels to like have your country be in a situation that you don't agree with, you know, because of a leader you don't agree with. So,
Brexit.
yeah. But yeah, it's not much farther than it was the last time I showed it, because I had to do a bunch of ripping out. I like, this is the front.
Are you nearly
too.
at the arms? You are at the arms.
I've separated for the sleeves, and I had both of these fronts knit, and like the neckline all knit, because you cast off and then you keep knitting. But then they were different widths by like 3 stitches, and this is a worsted weight gauge, so 3 stitches is like this much. And I was like, no, so I had to rip it all out. And I was stuck on the train. I was actually so grateful for having my knitting, because I was on the train and like going across the river. So Brooklyn and Manhattan are separated, for those of you who don't know, by a river. And I was like on the last stop in Manhattan, like about to go over the bridge, and the train was stalled for like an hour. And they were like, signal problems at the Myrtle Broadway stop, and which is like Myrtle Broadway.
Stop.
Did you say?
I feel like if there are ever, well, I don't live in New York anymore, but if there are ever issues, it's always at that stop.
The Myrtle Broadway stop.
Yeah,
I agree.
it's always something to do with them. Come here.
I will say it's not their fault. First of all, it was one of the first subway stops that was designed, and they have like an S curve on their track, which makes the trains have to slow down a lot to go over that S curve. So they've like in more recent history, they've designed them to not have that. But also it's a low income neighborhood, and like, I don't know why they can't just fix those damn signals, because it's always the signal problem. But like, it's because they don't care that, like, you know.
MTA, get on it.
Yeah, Alex, please. No, just kidding.
I'll not say TFL and then realize that was the wrong country.
Right. Well, you did it. So anyway.
At least you're knitting.
I was stuck for a while, and so I like knit one entire half and then realized it was off, and then like unraveled both halves all while I was stuck on the train. So.
I mean, I guess with knitting, like, it is quite good because you can unraveling is fairly easy, you can re-knit. But there is nothing more annoying than being like, oh, I'm so close to like finishing, like getting to a neckline and being like the finished lines in sight, like I can, and then being like, oh, gotta take it out.
Yeah.
But it looks lovely. I love the stitch.
Thank you.
On it.
Thank you.
Super, like,
sorry, I'm not sure.
Alexa, does anyone else have an Alexa and she does that? Like sometimes she randomly comes on, which makes me worry about like what she's actually listening to most of the time.
No, they listen to like Yeah.
Sorry, Amazon, for all the rubbish you have to hear. I've been listening to this, especially recently. I've been listening to this podcast. I sent it to Emily. It's called Help, I Sexted My Boss.
Oh,
and
right.
It's just like smutty innuendo. Like it's only each episode about 30 minutes. And I've just been taking a break from like my more serious, cult/murder podcasts. And I don't even know if it's good, but I can't stop listening to it because it is vaguely amusing. But I had my headphones ran out of battery earlier, so I had it playing out loud. I was like, actually, this is probably kind of inappropriate. Like, windows are open, it's summer, neighbors can probably hear. So she's probably getting earfuls from that lately, Alexa.
I was gonna say you're gonna get ads now for all kinds of glue sticks.
Oh yeah.
Because we just had that conversation in front of Alexa about how you're looking
don't
for
know that.
glue sticks.
Turn on mute.
Alexa, order glue sticks for Sophie.
I've muted her now.
Okay, so she can.
Got her red ring on, which sounds kind of like an innuendo in itself.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, that was. I'll tell you about it after the podcast. This episode I recently just listened to on that. Side note, another podcast I've been listening to, and the final episode came out today. I'd be eagerly I don't know if we finished talking about crafting, but
I'm done. That's all I have.
I tracked it. It was the one that on My Favorite Murder, mine and Emily's favorite podcast, they recommended the other week. The Opportunist from, I'm trying to find out who, I think it's Cast Media, and it's about a lady called Sherry Schreiner, and the last episode came out today, and it's so good. I'm waiting for part 8 of 8 to be released. If you're into cults,
True.
This is, have you been listening to this one, Emily?
I haven't, but it's on my radar. I think I downloaded like the first episode or something.
Just because it's just interesting, like about online, and I guess it's more like a modern day tale rather than the ones we're familiar with from like the 80s, which I feel was like the era of the cults we
that we know of. Is this the one you were telling me about with the lady who, like in the Midwest, who started a Facebook cult or something like that?
Yeah. And we're all aliens or reptiles.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just.
That's so weird.
Basically, I listen, I do my ironing, have my headphones in, I'm like. So that I've been hardly watching TV lately, and it's been all about the Audible experience for me.
I love that because you can do other things.
Yeah, I'm looking for a new book recommendation as well on our
right. Our
audiobook.
Yeah.
Earbooks.
The Thomas Cromwell series is good. Yes. Wolf Hall, etc. But the third one is not available until like tomorrow or April something. So I'm stalled as well.
I hate waiting for stuff to come out. Do you know what is funny? I didn't think I was this person until I was listening to this book recently, because sometimes I like to flick to the end of the book to know the ending when I'm at the beginning of a book. And I've never acknowledged that about myself before the past week. Like, I've always been like, yeah, whatever. Like, I'm not that kind of person, I can go through a book. And this book that I was listening to, I was like, I just need to flick to the end and know what said, but I can't because it's an audiobook, so I just have to keep listening until I get to that point. And the anticipation was killing me.
That's hilarious. I love that. I love knowing that about you. I don't do that with books, but I am notorious for giving spoilers for TV shows. I think we might have had this conversation when you and Jake were over. I'm like, always am like, you should totally watch this show, and like this guy ends up being a demon, and just like to entice people to get to like, and it's Tim is so funny. He gets so mad at me about it. And last night we've been watching his Dark Materials on HBO, which is one of my favorite book series. So I know all of the things that are going to happen. And Tim kept asking me questions, and I'm like I love telling people spoilers, and I also am not good at lying. So I was just like sitting there being like, why are you asking me like questions that you don't want me to tell you? I can't just, yeah, I can't just like, I don't know, tell you.
It's like, don't ask me unless you really want to know.
Yeah, don't ask me questions you don't want to know the answer to. Anyway, we had a good chuckle about that.
Spoiler alert, Emily.
So I feel like maybe we should let people go. Because we're rambling now. Not that I don't love to ramble with you,
but people don't need to know. I mean,
people have other things to do.
Inappropriate stuff's going to come out as well.
Yeah,
you know.
I think that's fine. I think that I enjoy that when I'm watching podcasts. But you know, we'll let you go to the rest of your day. Do your laundry and washing and dishes and your go to work and all that good stuff. Play the ukulele. Okay, so until then, we'll see you in 1 month. Until then, don't forget to take it slow, and perhaps I will see you in the meantime with a floss tube.
What's your subscription box?
I'm nervous. Okay. Bye.